This is an absolutely gorgeous drive. Wait till you see where I'm going today. I'll leave it as a surprise till the end. So the Postman, the Kevin Costner movie, The Postman. Well, the funny thing is, I saw the movie, but I didn't. See, at the time, I was living in Seattle working for a negative cutter at a film lab. They were filming The Postman somewhere in the area. And I was syncing the dailies, meaning we put sound to picture together so they could look at what they shot the day before, you know, that morning, to see if they got what they needed to go on and finish the movie. So I saw the entire film via dailies. The year before I was in Seattle working on this, I was in Ketchikan, Alaska. Oh, 2 donkeys! Donkers! And I just passed 5 before that. I was in Ketchikan, Alaska, making the 16mm film Misty Isle Out, which I wrote and directed and I made with some friends. So my relationship with my father, that's what a lot of this is about. We didn't really have a father-son relationship other than, you know, I was his kin, his blood. I mean, I like the guy. The guy is an interesting guy. In fact, if I wasn't his son, I would have, he's passed on now. If I hadn't been his son, I would have loved just hanging with him. He's kind of a cool guy. And then he came down to visit that last year. Just remember, he's not here anymore. So he came to visit that last year at least 3 times that I can remember to Ketchikan. And that was great. Before that, I'd seen him once in 5 years. So suddenly, we had a speaking relationship. He came to visit. The first time he came, he was going to get a motel. And I said, stay with us. We got room. I was with my girlfriend at the time that I was making the movie with. And he said, okay, he agreed, which kind of shocked me because I thought he'd want his own space or something. And all of that was just fantastic for me. Along with that, there was a little bit of resentment. Part of me was like, you know, what? I don't think the children, this is my belief, I don't think the children relationships should do the heavy lifting. I think the parents should do the heavy lifting. And then if they need help, they turn to their parents. If their parents aren't there, they turn to siblings or friends or other adult friends or something. So I always did have a little bit of resentment that I had to be the one to bridge the gap. But that's life, right? Of course, as you get older, you learn your parents are just human too. So, and then the movie finished and we went down to Seattle because we got a grant, an equipment use grant, to edit the film. This is before digital and everything. Digital was there, but it was just coming into its own. So we needed an actual, you know, flatbed editing machine to edit our film, and there wasn't one in Ketchikan. So we moved to Seattle, stayed with some friends, got small local jobs. Well, the job that I got was with at this film lab that now we're tying it all back to the Postman. Didn't work for the lab. I worked for a negative cutter who rented space at the lab. And really quickly, when film was shot on film, you have a film negative, right? So once you edit the film the way you want, then you have to cut the negative to match your work print, and then you strike a final print off of that cut negative, so you have a pristine version of the film. So anyway, I was learning how to negative cut. I loved it. It was great. I got to work around film. I was getting into the local film community. Everything was going well for my life. When we got the Postman, I warned everybody. I said, hey, this isn't a fly-by-night job for us. We already had a lot on our plate. And I said, these people are going to take center stage. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, they're a big project with a lot of money. They're going to be the priority in their mind, and they're going to want everything now. They're not going to care what else is on our plate, no. So anyway, this was a busy time for us. In the middle of it, there was a Friday night where we all got to go out, and I was hanging out with some of the local film people. I got home from the party and I was drunk, which you can't control that, but I always regretted that I was drunk when I got the phone call. And I got the phone call from my brother that my dad had been killed, that he had died in a plane crash. So, anyway, I, of course, immediately made plans to go up to Alaska to be there with the family and to be there if they had to recover the body, and be there for the memorial and all that stuff. Not even really a spot to pull off here very well, but some of the fields of Nutbush, Tennessee behind me there. I'm right on the outskirts of it, the Nutbush city limits. So the interesting thing is, see, W.C. Handy was born in Florence, moved to Memphis, small town to the big city. Elvis Presley, Tupelo, Mississippi, went to Memphis. I don't know if Tina Turner lived in Memphis. I didn't even look it up, but she's from this very small community of Nutbush. And when you look on the Google map, it says this is pretty much Nutbush. There's a little gas station shop, and then that's it right there. That's where it kind of stops you. And here it's called the Tina Turner Highway. I can't imagine how I would have felt if I hadn't reached out to my father that last year, because I really wanted a relationship with him. And you never know when someone's going to go. I mean, look at the people in your life today as you listen to this. I mean, things aren't always easy. There's going to be a lot of tough times, but try not to go to bed angry. The last time I saw him was in the Ketchikan airport, and I gave him a birthday present at a nice little lunch and coffee at that little Ketchikan airport diner. And the last time I talked to him was the week before he died. I was supposed to fly up to see him again from Seattle. And we had a really good conversation. His dog Scuppers was tied up in the yard and started barking, and he said, oh, I got to go out and let old Scups off the line. And we had a nice time, and I said, oh, I'll see you in a week. And I ended up using the plane ticket to go to his funeral, which is a little sad. you never reach out. Don't expect other people to bridge the gap that you want bridged. All you can do is, if you want it, you do it yourself. Reach out. And that doesn't mean you're going to get what you want. They may not respond, but at least you can rest easy knowing that you put your best foot forward. And that means a lot. And the other thing about the job with my boss, I learned that the world doesn't stop just because things stop for you. And I get it. I'm glad I stayed with my family, but I also learned that, work's important too. And that's how the world moves forward. That's how we get supplies to people when they need it in a time of crisis. It's how a bridge gets built. It's how groceries get to the store. You got to keep the wheels turning. So I understand why my boss was frustrated that I extended the time, but personally, I'm glad I saw family. Anyway, from Nutbush, Tennessee.